This woman, Miranda, posted this screenshot from this woman named Abby. And Abby says, in quotes, "I'm not in the mood for sex, and therefore you have to go without," is one of the most destructive, normalized female attitudes in modern marriages. Male or female, your mood should have nothing to do with whether or not you care for your spouse when they want and need you. So, caring for your spouse equals doing activities when you're not in the mood. So you, as a spouse, have to put your needs on the back burner and just go with it. Just do it. And okay, so that's Abby. But Miranda's comment to that was, "No one owes anyone sex, regardless of any existing relationship, including marriage. Women not tolerating marital grape isn't one of the most destructive normalized female attitudes in modern marriages. That would be misogyny. Misogyny is one of the most destructive attitudes in relationships." So Miranda cross-posting that with her blurb, she started getting comments rolling in. And she said, "Yesterday I posted, 'No one owes anyone sex regardless of any existing relationship, including marriage.' Then the misogynist commented to highlight how misogynists view sex as transactional and obligatory, regardless of a woman's feelings. Anyone who feels they are entitled to another person's body, who believes someone doesn't have a right to refuse to consent, or believes that marriage is a lifelong, ongoing consent, deserves to be alone." Because these men especially, believe that women are owned by their husband. So it goes along with their thinking that once you become tied, depending on if they are extra patriarchal or religious, they believe that a woman is owned. She has no rights. She has no say in how her body is used. Okay, some of the comments. See, Steve Anderson says, "Marital grape shouldn't be a thing. Consenting to marriage should be blanket consent for life." I Can Breathe 420 says, "A wife saying no more than yes is the number one reason married men cheat." In the right column says, "Then no husband owes his wife monogamy and faithfulness, regardless of any existing relationship, including marriage, right?" Atheist says, actually, sex is allowed to be a requirement because withholding it can be deemed as abuse towards a partner. And on top of that, contract agreements can make it so the spouse loses all of their shared assets from the other if they don't obey the contract. I don't remember signing a contract that included sex. That was me. Maybe I just got a different contract. Dean says, "So a man should never go shopping, dinner, walk with their wife if he's not in the mood." You are saying a woman's selfish. Saying a woman is selfish for desiring to spend that time with her husband. Okay, so Bob is comparing sex to work. He says, "It's really simple. Do you want to go to work? Sex every day? Probably not, but you still want to maintain a job or relationship, correct? So maybe some days you have to go to work that you don't particularly feel like it for the good of the business or relationship as a whole." Okay, Snorfax. "This is like saying that being expected to show up to work when you don't feel like it is slavery." Observer says, "Genuine question. If marriage doesn't entail any sexual obligation to care for the needs of your spouse, why would it entail obligation to never get those needs taken care of if your spouse says no? Either you're bound to each other or you aren't." Anti-feminist says, "Marriage should mean consent. If that is too much for you, get some cats." There are more, much more. She says, "No one owes anyone fidelity, regardless of any existing relationship, including marriage." Same logic still applies, right? Chris says, "Men will just find it elsewhere." Gen X Baptists say spouses do. Not about health says fair, but then why can't the man go get it somewhere else then? Daddy J says, "A wife doesn't owe a husband sex. A husband doesn't owe the wife resources. Can we agree? End alimony and make the wife pay 50% of all bills." That Twitter is a wild place. Next, I'm going to show you a video of these people, these church people, jumping around in a restaurant, talking in tongues, doing a praise and worship or whatever. And this woman made a post, and her name is Satanic Sex Trader Putrid, whatever all that means. She's obviously annoyed. I would be annoyed if there was a public display of all of this and I'm simply trying to eat. And I Can Breathe 420 popped up over here like he was over there in that first tweet thread. He says, "Is this really that big of a deal? Some weirdos are praying." Yes, it is that big of a deal because people go to a restaurant to eat and enjoy their food. You can go pray at church. You can go to your home and have a praise party. People are all over the place as far as spectrums and beliefs. We go to the restaurant to eat. The management should have shut this down. Just like the OP says, in public, absolutely, a restaurant is not the place. Sammy says that table in the immediate surroundings are the private space of the people occupying them. Would you agree? No, we don't agree. This is a public place. You need to have some decorum so that other people can enjoy their meals as well. We are not there to like have a praise and worship. If we wanted that, we would go to church. Jeannie said in response, "If I ever see this, I'm going to stand up and sing Push It. It will be sung terribly, but it will be sung loudly. Ooh, baby, 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 baby." That would be hilarious. Then finally, I'm going to end it with this tweet thread from Sympathetic Op. We'll probably delete this, but one thing that was weird about nannying for a few different families is that the dads seem to love the kids less than I would have predicted. And I don't know why. Women get on these apps daily to say how much work they have to do, how they have to cajole the dads to participate in the child rearing. So, this should be an observation that we could see simply by listening to women. She continues to say, "The exception was the single dad who also tried to sleep with me." In that case, he's probably just trying to, get a relationship so he doesn't have to continue to pay her. Jim responded to that one saying very loving. And she said, "Thrifty King, trying to Von Trapp the situation for free childcare." And she also said, "Sometimes a man has got to grit his teeth and do what's best for his family." And It's Not Real said he actually has zero interest in you. He just thought he could get the nannying for free via a girlfriend or new wife. And this one made me laugh. Dating is extremely hard when you're a married dad. I can't imagine how difficult it must be when you're a single dad. I don't know if it's really that hard for a married dad, considering the wife is typically the one doing everything. But yeah, I can see that it has to be hard when you're a single dad. All right, that made someone laugh. And this person said, "Dating and married dad," and she did the laugh emoji. This person said, "Bro just had a lot of love to give." Cloneristic says he wasn't the only one though, right? That what's the try to sleep with the nanny rate, even if in a clumsy or half-hearted manner? I guess it's 25%, and the rest have a vibe. Tony says, "Bro didn't want to be a single dad anymore." 10 Viking says, "There's a joke in here about him giving you a tip, but I'm too lazy to find it." But the whole point I wanted to make is this nanny having this firsthand observation about these men not being checked in. And I wanted to bring that out because people need to know and understand that having kids is challenging. It really is. But you need people to be all in. And, we keep, like, I'm going to bring in Ebony K. Williams again. People are demonizing her because she cut out the middleman. She cut out the need to cajole these men into being a dad. A lot of these women, a lot of wives and mothers are having to make the dads participate. So, is it really that bad that a woman is circumventing all of that? It is, because it is jacking up the patriarchy. The patriarchy needs women to be controlled, and they get controlled. One of the ways is through having a baby and being anchored down. All right, jump in the conversation. Let me know what you think about these tweet threads.